pretty soon. Okay, let's get research paper. All right. Just a couple of things. This is just something that my wife mentioned to me this morning. My wife's an epidemiologist. She studies diseases, and that kind of stuff. A lot into statistics and stuff. And she said, and she works at UAB, and she said, from what she understands, the hospital, the clinics, the urgent care, everybody is swamped with the flu. Okay? So it's here, it's going around. She's been tracking it since it was in the southern hemisphere, the first half of the year, their winter, our summer, and it's a pretty serious flu. The vaccination they had for it this year covers this type of flu, but the flu has modified itself a little bit, and it's pretty, so the shot helps, but it won't guarantee you won't get it, okay? So, the other things you do to help from spreading flu. Washing hands. When you can't wash hands, use the sanitizers. Everything you can to, and frankly, the ladies who are doing the cleaning here, at least last term, they came in and I'd see them wash every desk once a day. But of course, there's several classes here every day, so it's not guaranteed, but at least you are first thing in the morning, so they probably got it clean. Well, may have got it clean yesterday. So, but be careful, okay? I just noticed a lot of people not here, and I just wondered if some of us are being hit too. Do all you can to prevent, spreading the flu and catching the flu. I was pretty right. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I was recording. I think we covered the syllabus last time. There is a change. I think I've made the change on Blackboard. I'll tell you in just a minute what that change was. But research paper general instruction, in fact, I told you that it could happen last time, but this time it has. Okay, research paper general instruction. I think I asked you, did I ask you before? Well, no, probably didn't. Okay. Choose any topic. I'm not going to assign you a topic. You pick a topic of interest to you that has something to do with mathematics, especially pre-calculus or calculus. It can be a person. If you're really interested in the people behind the math, there's tons of them out there. We'll run across several of them in the course. It can be about a theory. I know you really love math theories, don't you? Okay? But actually, there's some pretty incredible ones. We'll run across a few in the text, too. It could be a phenomenon that is described or explained or dealt with or uses math to process what's going on in it. I love the application ones. Okay? I don't know what your various majors are, but how does math apply to that? Or if it's not a major, your interest, And if you look into it, you'll see math applies everywhere, okay? So an application's good. Any other such topic about which you have an interest. I'd rather it be something you're interested in. You can default to something you see in the book. That's fine, but I'd rather it be something you're interested in. Now, I've added this in the last few years, or it could be an internet application or demonstration that you find useful for the class. There's Melva. Poor gal, she was in my class before. Okay. Several times. Okay. Now, and she's heard all this. Okay. Maybe that's why she's late. Okay. And what the internet application or demonstration is, the book, I think, does a pretty good job of doing things. Now, I probably don't do a very good job of describing things, but sometimes students don't really relate either to the book or to me, but then they go out on the internet and find a site and say, whoa, yeah, is this what they were talking about? Well, this makes perfect sense. Or, wow, I wish they'd have said that in class. If you find one of those, you can write on it, okay? If you can find one of those YouTube videos or whatever that you find useful for the course, that can be your paper topic. Now, you might say, how do I get a page or two out of that? And that's all you need, a page or two. Well, pretty simple. What is it that was confusing you about the way the book did it or that I did it? You're not going to hurt my feelings any, so be honest, okay? Things that were, difficult to understand about it, how this site that you're writing on explained it better, how it made you see it and understand it better, and the procedures they use, the techniques they use, whatever like that. And my guess is you might go to several sites and say, ooh, this is no better than the book or him or whatever. So how did it compare to other sites? And maybe even this. How I wish they'd have gone a little bit further. If they'd have just done this, that would have been even nicer. Well, there, easily get a page or two or more out of those kinds of things. So you can write on an internet application or demonstration that you find useful for the class. And when you do, and I see it, and I evaluate it, see it, that's good for good stuff, I'll add it to Blackboard. And by the way, since we last met, let me talk about Blackboard a little bit. I've put your updated syllabus out there. I had to make some changes to the syllabus, not anything major, it's just most of my office hours, because they did add me another class, okay? Doing 98, okay, Monday and Wednesday afternoon, okay? And I put this research paper instructions out there. I put my locator card, which we're going to do next, and I put all the PowerPoints. And that's why my DVD was down in my office and not up here in this computer or in the book where I thought it should be. Okay, I forgot to put it back in the folder. Okay? I also put, speaking of sites, it seems like 3, 4, maybe 5 sites that either students have given to me or I found myself that I think may be useful to you. There's MathVids, Slater, goodness gracious, Prof. Rob Bob, and there's another one or two. Education Portal. There's several of those that I put out there that you might find helpful, okay, or you can find your own. Didn't put Khan Academy because no student has ever given me that. I've heard students say, though, they find it very, very useful, okay? So, anyway, you can write on that. Now, what I'd like you to do today or next week, but try to do it soon, is write your name on a piece of paper. That's pretty hard, right? And then add to it what topic at least you're considering now writing on. So that means I want you to sort of thumb through the book, look through it, think through things that are of interest to you, and pick a topic at least that you're going to start looking at. If you later decide, ooh, I can't find enough to write on this, or boy, this stuff is boring, or goodness, this is too broad a topic, how can I get just a page or two out of this, and you want to modify it or condense it or something, you can always do that. But at least for now, write your name and the topic on a piece of paper. Now, since that's wasting a lot of paper, I'll ask you, but here's an option. It has nothing to do with the research paper. Okay? Here's what it's based on. Last week and Monday of this week, I spent most of my time in my office calling students before I had to cancel classes. And the system is fairly good, but a significant number of students, their phone numbers were either disconnected, out of service, or they're just wrong numbers. Someone had keyed in and swapped 2 digits or something. So we didn't have best phone numbers. So if you want to give me your very best phone number on that piece of paper, you can. It's not required, it's optional. Okay? Now my guess, most of you, that will be that little cell number, right? If you want to give it to me, you can. If you don't have to. But if there's a chance that that cell phone may be left at home in the car, the battery died, the service changed, you ran over it with your car, something happened like that, that it's no longer any good. If you want to give me a good backup number, like Mama's landline or something like that, that's fine. That's up to you. You don't have to do that, but if you want to, you can. And others, I know when I advise students, I find that an awful lot of our students work, and sometimes jobs don't like you talking on your cell phone, so they prohibit that. But if there is a good work number that they will let you take incoming calls, especially if it's an emergency type thing, that you can give me that, you can do that. You can give me 0, 1, 2, or up to 3 numbers, but just let me know what they are, just in case I get that panic call from one of the offices saying, hey, thus and so's in your Math 112 class, do you have a better phone number for her? The one in the system's not working, we need to get in touch with her. him or her. Yeah, okay. And I can say, well, yeah, here's what the student gave. Okay. So that's the only time. I'm not going to give it to other students. The odds are I'll never use it unless there's something, say, at the end of the term. You haven't turned in something, I say, look, I got to get your grade in or you'll get it to me. Maybe something like that, but most of the time I'm not going to ever use it. It'll only be for like an emergency situation within the college, not give it to other students or anything. So if you want to give me a phone number or two or three or none, you can. Okay, so that's all that. Return it to me either today, tomorrow, Tuesday, or no later than Thursday. Okay? Now, you'll need to find at least one outside source. Now, two or more are better, but at least one outside source for your paper. That can be a book, a journal, a magazine, a newspaper, any kind of articles, other such materials you might find in the library, our library, county, city library, whatever, or any legitimate source you can find on the internet. Okay, and a lot of people don't even allow that. There is good stuff on the internet, but there's way more garbage on the internet. Total garbage. So don't be hooked into some sort of someone's idea that has no basis in fact. So if you're at all doubtful about an internet source, run it by me and I'll look at it. Oh yeah, I know that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. Or no, I'm not sure. Let's avoid that and find something else. Okay, so you can use an internet source if it looks like it's pretty good. The textbook is a great source for ideas for topics, but it can't be your source for your paper. You have to get the research from something outside the text. That's part of the purpose of this. Get you out of the book, out of the classroom, into the real world, sort of. Okay? Now, your paper needs to be at least one word process page of text. Of course, first part here, no handwritten. I prefer not even typed, but one word process. Probably most of you don't even know how to, don't even have a typewriter. Okay, what do I mean by one word process page of text? Now, I don't require any of these things on format, but I just know a lot of students, when they turn in a paper, they have some sort of header up here or there or somewhere, skip a few lines, they have the title in triple space, and finally start typing somewhere about here. So what's one page of text? That's going to go to the bottom of that page, and then on another piece of paper, start at the top and come down at least that far. That's one page of text. It's going to be at least two pieces of paper for one page of text. That's the minimum. And believe me, when I'm grading these things, I hold it up to the light to make sure that went over. Okay, so yeah, I'm sort of hanging with that. No, okay. So, one page word process page of text. Now, I want you to double space. This is single space. I don't want it single space. I want it double space. So that gives you, that's right if you have to do, but it makes it easier for me to read and make marks on, okay? Because I will be making marks on most of them. If they're perfect papers, you probably won't find many marks except great job, Okay, 12 pitch or 12-point font. I don't want the little tiny and I don't want the great big, okay? The 3 words fill a page, you say I'm through. No, you're not, okay? So standard, okay? The font's up to you as long as I can read it. I don't read hieroglyphics, Cyrillic, Hebrew, Greek or Old English or any of that. Keep it nice, clean. Most defaults are Times New Roman. This happens to be Arial, Courier. There's pages on pages of great reading fonts. So use any one of them. I don't care. Try to keep the paper less than 2 pages. That's just to keep it from being a huge, huge deal. I just want you to get out there into the literature, finding out what's going on, and say, wow, this is good stuff. But try to keep it short. I don't want you to write me a dissertation. I mean, if you get that interested, knock yourself out. I mean, I don't want to squelch your creativity or your interest. But I don't want it to be a huge burden either. Okay? Now, this doesn't happen frequently, but I have had it happen in the past that some student has decided, well, I'm going to really knock his socks off with quantity. The quality's going to stink, but I'm going to impress him with how much I can write. And wrote, and wrote, and wrote. And it was, well, let me tell you something to keep you from, it's not to keep you from doing it, it's the reality. When you turn your paper into me, It's a 100-point paper. As I start reading the paper, and I will, don't tell me not to read it, okay, but I'll start reading the paper, then if I find errors, you start losing points, okay? So if you turn me in, or somebody would choose to turn me in a garbage paper, but a real long garbage paper to impress me how diligent you are, you're just losing points and losing points and losing points the longer it is. So don't do that. Turn me in quality work. That can be 1 to 2 pages. It can be 3 to 4 or 5 pages. I don't care. If it's good quality paper, I'm going to enjoy reading it, okay? If it's not, I'm not going to, but I'm going to read it. I'll be not enjoying it more and more, okay, if it's a good, poor quality paper. Okay, so try to keep it between 1 and 2 pages, but I don't penalize if you go too long directly, but you do get points off if it's too short, okay? I don't care what format you use. If you've been in an English class here, you probably learned MLA format, Modern Language Association. Fine with me. A lot of science organizations use APA. That's American Psychological Association. They came up with this format, and everybody said, wow, that's a good format. Let's just use it rather than making up one of our own. But there's tons of others out there. I don't care which one you use as long as you're consistent. For instance, if you start blocking paragraphs, block all your paragraphs. And if you start in Arial, then don't change the Times New Roman in the middle of a sentence or a word or a paragraph or something like that. You know, be consistent, okay? Here's one other thing I haven't seen frequently, but I have seen it. When someone has a source up here in the first paragraph, they open parentheses, maybe put the name, last name of the author, comma, year of publication, close it off, or something like that, okay? And then down here, they may have a different one that they're referring to, open parentheses, title of the article, comma, page number. I go, wait a minute, it's the same type of a source, but what happened, I think, is this source they were reading from used one format, so they used that format for them, and then down here, that source used a different format, and they used that format for that source. You pick your format and stay with it. Now, I know that journal articles, the formats are different from books and things like this. I understand that. But when it's the same type source and you have different formats, that's a problem. Okay? Now, the paper is due by the last day of class, not the last day of finals, the last day of class for this term. That's probably going to be the last Thursday in April, I think, if my memory's right on the schedule. Okay? Number one, please don't turn it in after that. If you do, I'll accept it, but you're losing points. Okay? But try your best to get it in before that. Don't wait for the last day. Okay? I highly recommend you work on it as much as possible, as early in the term as possible. Guess what? You'll never have more time to work on a paper than you do right now. Because how many already have a big assignment like this? Probably not. You have already. Okay. Diligent student. Okay. You're probably going to have more at the end of the term. Okay. So try to get it done early. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the stick. If you turn it in late, after that last day of class, you lose points. I already said that, right? Here's the carrot. If you turn it in the month of January, you'll get 3 bonus points just for turning it in early. Okay? That's close to half a letter grade. Okay? If you turn it in February, you get 2 bonus points. In March, you get 1. In April, you get your score. And that's all you get is your score. After that last day of class, now you start losing points. So there's the carrots. Please get them done early rather than late. When you submit your paper, and if you remember back from the syllabus, the paper counts as a quiz score that cannot be dropped. So get a good score here. Pull up your quiz average. That may let you drop a low test score. Helps you big time. Okay? When you submit your paper, here's something I require that almost no one else does that I know about. Please attach a single page from one of your sources. Let's say you have 3 sources. Pick one, just any one. And give me 1 page, not the whole source, 1 page from that source. So if it's something you got out of the library, take it over to the copy machine, copy me a single page from that source. If it's something you got off the internet, print me a single page from that. I don't want the whole article, just a single page. Don't turn that in, you're losing points. So please do that. Any questions on the paper? All right. There's all my information again. This is already out there on Blackboard under research paper instructions. Under content. Everything's under content, folks. The syllabus, research paper instructions, the locator card we're going to do next, all your PowerPoints, all those sites, websites that you could use, and more. I mean, I'll add more if you get them to me. And the link to the YouTube videos. It's, I think, the last thing in that litany of things under content. Scroll down when you see Math 112 YouTube videos, that you can go to that and see last class. And I meant to say this earlier. For you students who weren't here last time, that's where you can see what we did in class before. So please go back and review that, okay? All right, any questions? All right, I'm going to leave that. No, I think in my next class I already did that, so I'm going to delete that. Okay. Nope, that's not it. That's it. Okay, here's my locator card. Strange name for it. Spring 2016, first mini-term. I'll tell you the difference in second mini-term. There's my name again, my phone number. This is all in the syllabus. 9293449 on the Bessemer campus where I live Monday through Thursday. On Fridays, I'm on Birmingham campus most Fridays. Not every Friday, but most. In fact, I just saw an email yesterday. They called a chair's meeting for tomorrow, but I didn't get far enough to read the email to see which campus it's on. If it's on Birmingham campus, then I'll be there. If it's on this campus, I'll be here. I'm sorry, I don't know which campus it is. I'm guessing Birmingham, but most of them are. Okay? The phone number, and I think I told y'all before, please don't leave me voice messages because my voicemail on this campus, as far as I know, is still not working. And on the Birmingham campus, that's not my voicemail, it's somebody else's, because the person who uses that office Monday through Thursday, she's not there on Fridays, that's why I use it. And it goes to her voicemail, I can't even access it. There's my email address, blah, blah, blah. So here's my schedule pretty much for the term. Well, for the first mini-term. I'll tell you the difference. Okay. Mondays and Wednesdays, my 8 o'clock class did not make it. It was canceled. So I have office hours from 7:45 in the morning until 9:30 when my Cal 1 class starts, Monday and Wednesday. Okay? Then Cal 1 goes through, it's a 4-hour course, so it goes to 11:10. So I'm usually back in the office sometime around 11:15. And I usually eat in my office. I bring my lunch most days. I usually eat in my office whether I bring my lunch or not. So you can still come see me then, but I'm usually target 12 to 1, but sometimes it changes. Then I'm back in the office for advising or office hours up until 2 o'clock. Now this may change too. I found out yesterday that one of my students has a class that starts at 3, not at 3:15. So he's going to have to leave early. So if I can move it up to 1:30 or 1:45 so he doesn't miss as much class, I'm going to do that. But I'll have to check with the whole class. And that'll be Wednesday before I know that. Okay? But then I have that developmental math class 098 from 2 to 3:15. Then I'm back in the office 3:15 to 5:15. I'll scroll down. Yeah, there it is. So 5:15. 4 days a week. Tuesday, Thursday, the days we're together. This class at 8 o'clock. Trig at 9:30. I have a little bit of office time from 10:45 until 12:30 in the first mini-term. Okay? I usually try to grab lunch somewhere in there, but again, I eat in my office and bring my lunch most days, so I should be there most days. But then at 12:30, I have my physical science, that mini-term class, so it's 2.5 hours of class, 2 hours of lab, both days. So from 12:30 until 5, I'm occupied with that class. Now, some days we'll have our labs at the end and maybe tests at the end. And if they finish the lab early or the test early, I may be back in the office a little bit, but I'll still be on campus until 5:15. Okay? So that's Tuesday and Thursday. Fridays on the Birmingham campus, the academic building, in room B122, Dr. Pruitt's office suite, behind Ms. Saxton's desk in the copy room, where the table is, where I am on Fridays. I don't do a full lunch on Friday. I just bring a little snack to eat on because we get to go home afterwards, hopefully. Okay. I'm usually there well past 11:45, but I have to put a time here, but most of the time I'm there later. And so if I haven't looked at the time for that meeting, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she doesn't schedule it for the afternoon, and I'll be there, but I won't be available. But anyway, I would say if you're trying to get me, call Miss Rose Saxton. Don't call my number because I may not be there. Miss Rose Saxton, you can get her number through the website and ask her what time and which campus the meeting's on. She'll know. I wish I had already checked. All right, there's locator card. Any questions? Oh, let me tell you about second mini-term. Second mini-term, Physical Science 111 will be over. I'll be teaching Physical Science 112. Oh, now here's another thing. I'm going to find out later today if this class is even going to make. Last time 7 people were registered. They're not going to let it go with 7, but they had some unpaid students. They had dropped from the roll. They said wait till today and see if they show back up. So it may be I'll have a lot of office hours in the afternoon. That's why I have that course here. Okay, but second mini-term, that one has made, but because the automotive students need to take it, and they are in class until 1 o'clock on Tuesday, Thursday, we start that class at 1:15, and it goes to 3:45 to class, and then 5:45 to lab. So the second mini-term, I'll be on campus an extra 45 minutes past this. Extra, 45 minutes. Yeah, it'll be till 8 o'clock. The class goes to 7:45, 5:45, 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock. But so that'll be the change on second mini-term. So I have more office hours in the morning and stay later in the afternoon. Any questions on that? Okay, now this one I do need to keep, and it may change again if the Physical Science 111 doesn't make. Okay, one more thing we have to do. I'll try to do this quickly before we get into algebra. Sorry about this. Safety. We need to think always about safety before an emergency happens, so don't say, what do we do? So let's think through some safety issues. There's 3 major safety issues we deal with that we want to think about ahead of time. Can you imagine what one of those might be? Second? Okay. Weather? Absolutely. This time of year, spring, you better believe we could have weather, okay? If you hear that siren go off, now this class won't be at the times they test, that's 11 o'clock on Wednesdays or something like that, so we won't be in here then. But if you hear that go off, then that means there is some type of weather issue. What do we do? Any idea? What do you do in case of violent weather? Get in the car and try to beat it home? No! Worst place to be is in a vehicle on the road. My wife lived in Huntsville when they had a tornado, and she said cars were thrown away around like toys children blocks. I mean, it was just awful. So you don't want to be there. So what do we do in case of that alarm goes off?
Designated
Okay, where is that designated area? Second? Okay, you go low, you go interior. That's what you keep in mind with weather emergency, low and interior. So how do we go low? Where do we go? Well, here's where we are right now. Corner classroom here. What we do, we go out the door here, take a left, go down that little half flight of stairs right there. At the bottom of those stairs, there's another flight of stairs. Take a left, go down one more flight. Now you're on the first floor, almost the lowest point in the building. Okay? There's a little landing there, and right there are 2 restrooms. Male and female. Okay? those are actually very safe places to be. They're interior, they have walls that are close together, and they have a lot of corners. The greatest strength is in a corner. Strength in a wall. Middle of a room, not that much strength. That's the best place to be. But you may not want to choose to be in a restroom for the next hour or two, okay? It may not be the most inviting place to be, especially if we lose power. And if it really was a tornado, there's a really good chance we'll lose power because there's no emergency lighting in a restroom. So that's probably not going to be a comfortable place to be for an extended period of time. Well, where else right we go? Right next to the restrooms now this is the second floor, but the first floor looks a lot like it. Right next to the restrooms, it's down just a few more steps. To the right is an office there. It's the academic dean's office. Okay? All right, good deal. Come on in. Are you just added today, or are you already on the roll? Okay, what's your name, please?
Amber Peekert.
One more time.
Amber Peekert.
Peekert? Okay, yeah, I remember seeing it. Okay. And what do you go by, Amber?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There you are. All right. Oops. Okay. Now, a little bit of timeout on the rest of you. We did meet last Tuesday, and I went over the syllabus then. Okay? You can hear that on a YouTube video that you can access. Well, let me go back here. You know about Blackboard, right? Okay. You go to Blackboard for this class. In the upper left corner, there is a series of blue tabs, or at least on the instructor side, they're blue. And one of those says content, like the second or third one says content. Click on that, and you'll see a whole length of things. The first thing there is the syllabus. So read through that, hear me talk about it, and listen to that again today for the stuff you missed because a few changes were made, office hours and stuff. The next thing you'll see is the research paper instructions. Okay? If you go to today's class, I talked about that already today. So you can go listen to that. You can read them there, read the syllabus there, or you can hear me talk about it on the YouTube videos. Next thing was my locator card, which shows when I'm on campus, when I'm off campus, when I'm in class, when I'm not in class. And we talked about that today, so you can do that. But it'll also be there on Blackboard. It's there. It's there right now. All the PowerPoints shows for the whole term are there in static form. Okay? That's next. Then there's several websites you can go to if you need additional help. Okay? And then finally, there's a link to the YouTube videos. So scroll all the way to the bottom, click on that link. It says Math 112 YouTube videos. Click on that, and you'll see Tuesday's class. Now, I think I said this before, but let me say it again. You'll see a lot more than Tuesday's class because I've left all the videos I made from the last time I taught this course, and there at the top of that, you have to scroll to the bottom to get to, because they put the most recent stuff in the bottom. YouTube does that, not me. So you scroll down there. But if you want to preview what's coming up, you can look at any of that. And that way, if we miss a class, which I try not to, or the systems don't work, Screencast-O-Matic doesn't work, YouTube goes down, something like that, then I leave those up there so at least you have the stuff. All right, now before you go, remember next Tuesday, I talked about this before, I have a doctor's appointment, 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? I have to be there at 7 for labs. I won't be back for this class except for the very end. And we talked about last time, y'all said Wednesday, day after that, at 12 o'clock is when you want to make up that class. Now, if you all can't be here, I'll be recording it on YouTube, so you can go watch it there. But as many of you can, Wednesday, 12 o'clock, we will have that. I'll repeat, well, no, I won't have class again until then. So Wednesday at 12, we'll have Tuesday morning class. Okay. Now, we were talking about safety, and we said in case of weather emergency, that siren goes off, go out the door here, go down the stairs, down the half flight of stairs, down one more flight, go into that hallway, the restrooms, the academic dean's office. Now, most times she's not here, or the associate is not here, and nobody's in that office. But occasionally somebody is, and if they are, and they invite you in, that's a comfortable place to be. It's interior, and it has walls fairly close together. Okay? Now, the next room up is the room 160. Did any of you have developmental math? Take that in room 160 down there near the library. If you did, cool. All right. I'm following you. Okay. Were you here last time? I thought so.
Oh, no.
No, you weren't. Okay. Name? Yeah, I thought so. I don't. You just added, right? Okay. Because I thought you were CJ, right? Okay. D-O-R-M-A-N? Okay. Oops. I did that. Okay. And you go by CJ still, right? Okay. All right. So, that next room, not the best place to be, except for one thing. That back wall of that room is right against soil. There's not another room on the other side. You have a lot of support there. So that back wall of 160 is good. Near the corners are good. Any of the corners. Out in the open space is probably not bad, but not as good as the back wall or the corners. Okay? Or the wall, other wall. Okay? So go to the open space. Now, the next thing you get is that glass door that goes into the library. Go into the library, the next thing inside there, first thing on your right, is going to be that computer lab. That's a smaller lab. The back wall is up against soil, so you're really good solid wall there. Lots of corners, not a bad place to be. Right next to that is what I call the reference room. It's a little bit bigger than the computer room, not as big as 160. It has some corners, but it also has shelves. So if there's really some major problems, they could be tumbling, but that back wall is against soil. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. That's as far as I would go in the library, because everywhere else you're at exterior windows, right? You don't want to go there. You don't want to go anything on that side of the building. Okay, but actually, a fairly safe place to be is the hallway. The walls are close together. You don't have any corners, but the walls are close together, and therefore fairly good strength there. And the other advantage of the hallway is there's emergency lighting on both ends. If we lose power, all those other rooms are going to be pitch black. So the hallway does have emergency lighting. So that may not be the worst place to be. Get up against the wall, sit on the floor, chat with your friends. Okay. Now, if we're going down, I look at you now and all of you look really good and healthy, right? But it could be that some of you, one weekend, go on a skiing or hiking or something and twist an ankle, break a leg, do something, and you may be a little immobilized. Well, therefore, if that happens, there's no elevators in the building. I'm going to be with you and maybe ask one of you other able-bodied folks to be with me to make sure that person gets down safely. So I'm going to be the last person out of the room. You go down ahead of me. I'm not going to be leading. You go down ahead. But I'm also going to take my roll book. Because as soon as we get down there and I get that last person down there, I call the roll. If we're missing anybody, someone has to go back, making themselves in danger of flying grass, debris flying in windows, walls coming down, trying to look for you. So therefore, don't run off to get in your car. Don't run off to chat with friends somewhere else. Stay together at least until I call roll. We got everyone accounted for. And then if you want to go chat with friends, you can, as long as you're in a safe, low interior space. Okay? Any questions on weather safety? What's another type of safety issue that we might have? Say again? Fire, exactly. I'm going to do anything inside the building. That could be a chemical spill or something like that too. What do we do in case of fire or chemical spill or some sort of emergency within the building? Say an explosion. Say again? Stop, drop, and roll. That's if you're on fire. That's a good thing to do. Hopefully you're not going to be the one who spontaneously combust. But if you do, that's what you do. Now let's start with the worst case scenario for us. Let's say the fire started in this room. My computer just explodes, okay, and catches on fire there. What do we do? Say again? Someone said something. Get out is certainly something we're ultimately going to do, and let the building burn down, and we're safe though. Oh, no, yeah, we better do the fire alarm, and even something maybe before that. Oh, yeah, dial 911. Now, actually, a better number, believe it or not, than 911 is the campus police. Then they'll get in touch with 911. And I was given this number by Officer Tate, and as I assume it's good, 426-3654. That is the number that the on-duty policeman is carrying always. Okay? So that's the most reliable number to call. And if you want to put that in speed dial on your phone, you can. 426-3654. Okay? And that would be one good thing. If you don't have that in your speed dial, 911 is next best. Okay? So, at least one person's doing that. And I would say 2 people do this. Go together, teams working better. Go to the nearest fire alarm. Someone said it. Where is the nearest fire alarm? Anyone point it out to me on this diagram of the second floor? There is none. All this second floor part of the building here was built before they were required to have fire alarms installed in the building. Scary thought, right? Okay? But the new part of the building, what I call the student services wing, which isn't really a wing, it's the interior, that is the new part. They did put fire alarms in. So the closest fire alarm here, go out the door, hang a left, go down the half flight of stairs, but go up to this corridor that goes across to financial services. As soon as you go through that double door there into that new hallway, on the left and on the right, there's fire alarms within just a few feet. That's the closest fire alarm. So that's where 1 or 2 people go to pull the fire alarm. Okay? Now, we leave here and let the room go up in smoke, right? Is that what I was told? What might we also choose to do? Especially since my valuable books are right there. You're just going to let them burn? How do we put them out? Fire extinguisher. Where's the closest fire extinguisher? Huh? Okay. You see where I'm standing here? 4 feet from where I'm standing. Right there is the closest fire extinguisher. You can't get much closer than that. So somebody, another 1 or 2 people go out there. I know you guys have always wanted to break that glass, right? Oh, yeah, that looks so much fun. Maybe some of you gals too, but I know you got it. I wish I could get that yet. Well, maybe not. Okay. So go get the fire extinguisher. I'll try to deal with the fire. Now the rest of you proceed out. Where do we go? Okay, we get out of the building. Okay, by the nearest route. And here's the nearest route. We're in the bathroom here. We go into the hall, hang a left, go down the half flight of stairs, go down 1 more flight, hang a left, go down 1 more flight, but this time go out. Don't go in, go out. Okay, and where do you go out? You go out at least 75 feet away from the building. So if there is an explosion, the glass won't hit you, hopefully. But you actually go further than that. Here's a diagram here. This is our corner classroom right here. We've gone out that stairwell there, and then we go down to the parking lot that you see right down there. I would have said that grassy area, but they decided they want us in the parking lot. Okay? So that's what we have. Okay? Now again, you don't say, hey, the building's on fire, no more classes, I'm out of here. No, you don't do that. You stay together. Again, I'm going to be either fighting the blaze or doing whatever. And this picks up now if we hear the fire alarm. It doesn't start in here. We proceed out in that way. I'm going with the last student. The student has any mobility problems. I'm helping, maybe one of you will help me to get that person out of here safely. Then we head to that parking lot right down there. Stay together as a group until I get there with my handy-dandy roll book, and I call roll again. And if you're not there, guess what? Someone has to come back into a burning building looking for you. So don't wander off. Don't get in the car and leave. We have to assume you're still in the building. I don't want to be that person in the burning building, and the fire professionals don't want to have to go into a burning building looking for someone, especially if they're not there. Okay. So again, stay together until the call roll. Now, the last time we had a fire drill here, it irked me no end. They said, everybody go out the same door. I said, the whole purpose of a fire drill is to practice what you do in case of a fire. So I was the only one that said, no, we're not going out that back door back there. We're going out the door we're supposed to. We went as a class, and I said, if this was a real fire, you go down to that parking lot. Now let's go around to where they wanted us to go. And I had people yelling at me, no, you practice this way. I said, no, you practice good behavior. You don't practice wrong behavior. Okay? That's what a fire drill is all about. And later they talked with me and said, yeah, you're probably right. Okay, sorry. I'm kind of obtuse. You know that. Okay. All right. Any questions about fire or interior internal emergency? One other type of emergency I never even used to think about. But in today's environment, you better think about it. What's that? Say again? Active shooter. Yeah, what do they call it? Active shooter, I think is what the name they get for it. Now, I've already told you I'm sort of hard of hearing, right? If you start hearing some pops that you think might be fire, not fireworks, but fire, weapon firing, let me know immediately. What do we do? Okay, I'm going to lock the door, but also you get on your handy-dandy phone. Campus police is best, if not 911. Tell them what we think we're hearing. Do that first. Then I proceed over here. I need to lock this door so that dude can't, well, it's usually a dude, can't get in here. The trouble is, there have been a couple of women, but mostly dudes. Okay. There's no buttons here. I can't lock it from the inside. Okay? So I have to physically, I do have to say it. Yeah, I have to actually get my key and go outside and lock the door from the outside, and don't you dare pull it too. I come back in and pull it too. We can still get out, they can't get in. Okay. But guess what, team? There's another entrance to this room. Okay. Now, this door does have a button. I can press that button, and it locks from the inside. But from the outside, that does us no good. In fact, that locks us in here. We don't want that. So don't press that button. Okay, the next door here has a deadbolt. I don't have a key to the deadbolt. Sorry. I thought I did, but I don't. So that's no good. The next door, just like this one, it does have it locks from the outside, but lets us leave from the inside. That's the door we lock. Now, there's a class over there right now. If they can't lock their door, which you know that's Miss Shelton, I'm pretty sure she does have a key to that room, we may actually let them come in here with us. Okay? And then we lock that door. We close the door out there, lock this one, close this one, because see, there's glass there. You can see through. Close this one, there's no glass. You can't see through. This door is closed but not locked. Okay? And where do we go? We go over here. We all get to be your friend. Okay? Because you can shoot through wood. It's kind of hard to shoot through concrete block. Especially if you can't see. You can see in the window here, but you can't see through there. So if we're all very quiet and all back there out of the line of sight, all these doors are closed, that's locked, this is locked, you're as quiet as you can be. Door, lights off, say again.
So when you all sitting right there, and he probably could shoot through that door. It gets in. He's gonna be sitting up. So.
Well then I attack the guy, and I'm pretty fierce.
You gonna attack him?
Yeah. Look, guys, I'm 67 years old. I don't have much life ahead of me left, okay? I'm going to attack the guy. Huh? Okay, yeah, other time you can pile on that afterwards. I'm going to be the first point of attack there. And he's going to have to really empty that magazine in a hurry, okay? What's that? What's that?
I said, it's some people in here, I'll give you
Right. Well, y'all are welcome to do whatever you want, but I'm going to be first, okay? Because I'm more expendable than you are, okay? You are our future. I'm the past, okay? But, yeah, if you want to get behind me and push, you can. That's perfectly fine. All right. Hopefully that will never happen, but it has happened on one community college campus I've heard about. Several of the big universities, a few of them have had it, and then other places have, but I've only heard of one community college. Boo hiss, I wanted us to be knocked with that. All right, any questions on safety? Okay. Sorry that took too long, but I think it is important to think about ahead of time. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. We don't have much time, but let's get started. Okay. If you remember in the syllabus, the first sentence they said about the course description, this course is about the algebra of functions. So this chapter is functions, and if you haven't hit it yet, you'll realize this book loves graphing. So everything we do, we're going to graph. Graph gives you visible image of what's going on. So we're going to do functions and their graphs. Okay? Now, for those who were here last time, remember I said sections 1, 2, and 3 of chapter 1 are basically a review of algebra. Okay? And I asked you then, I'll ask you now again, go through those, skim through them. You got a weekend coming up. If there's anything you're a bit rusty on, fuzzy on, you don't know, don't recognize, or you never understood, ask me in class next Tuesday, okay, from sections 1, 2, and 3. We're going to be starting in 1.4, which is starting with functions, okay? Now, for those in Math 100, you may have touched on functions just barely. They only had 2 sections on functions. We didn't even get to it in our class, but we talked about them in review for the final. But what in the world we're going to determine whether relations, we're first going to talk about relations, between 2 variables are functions or not. You can have relations, they could be functions or not. We'll also talk about function notation. We'll talk about domains of function. What in the world does that mean? Use functions to model and solve some real life problems. Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road. And we'll evaluate a certain construct called a difference quotient. And that may sound like a brand new word, but I guarantee you've already done it before. You just didn't call it a difference quotient. So let's start with an introduction to functions and function notation. Okay? Many everyday phenomena involve 2 quantities that are related to each other by some rule of correspondence. Okay? For instance, how about age and weight? Okay? Especially for young kids. Generally, the older a child is, the more the child weighs, because the child's growing. Unfortunately, never mind, we won't go there. Okay. So that would be 2 quantities, age and weight, related to each other as one's increasing, the other's increasing. When you get old like me, age and mental capacity, they're going in the opposite direction. Oh, okay. That does happen. Okay, it's not that funny. Okay. Anytime you have 2 things that are related to each other, guess what we call them? A relation. It's not third cousin twice removed, but that's a relation. In mathematics, quite often we use equations and formulas to represent those relations. Here's one, for instance. Let's say that you have $1,000 sitting around. Oh, what can I do with this $1,000? Well, let's put it in the bank for 1 year and earn interest on it. Well, the annual interest that you earn, if the interest rate is R, which today is minusculely small, okay, the interest that you earn, I, the interest, is equal to the principal times that interest rate. This is for 1 year. There's a relationship. You earn more interest the higher the interest rate. You earn more interest the more you put in. Okay? So interest is dependent on the principal and on the interest rate. Okay? that is a relation. Right now, we're saying you have $1,000, so that's not variable. The interest rate may be a variable. Okay, Federal Reserve just recently upped the rate by a little bit, and they say they probably will do it again this year, a time or two. So hopefully your savings will go up a little bit in interest. Now, unfortunately, a few of us may actually owe some money. And when you owe money, those interest rates are pretty big numbers there. Have you ever noticed what your credit card interest rate is? Your savings interest rate right now, I believe, is something usually about 0.125%. Minuscule, maybe 0.5%. Something is pretty small. If you look at that credit card interest rate, some of those are 24%. So the longer you leave that money in there, then you're paying interest. You're not earning interest, you're paying interest, because that interest depends on the rates. Okay? So, it does have some important ramifications. So that formula represents a special kind of relation that matches each item from one set with exactly one item from the other set. For instance, if it was 0.5%, then the interest you'd earn on that, I think, is $50 in a year. Okay? If it was 1%, that would be $100. No, it's $5 for 0.5%, $10 for, I'm not doing math well today. But anyway, it varies. Okay? Now, let me get one, and that's called a function. If for any different rate you get one and only one interest, then that's a function. Let's use an example that may be closer to where we live. Let's say you're down in the bookstore and you want to buy a bag of chips. Oh, they sell chips there, don't they? Okay, say a bag of chips. And the guy in front of you, or the gal in front of you, is buying the same type of chips. You know, they have the same purchase. And they ring them up for $1.39. And you get up there and it's $1.99. Same bag. Are you a happy camper? No, because that's not a function, is it? Because for any input, there's exactly one output. You have the same bag of chips, they charge them $1.39, you $1.99, that's a different output. That's not a function. Okay? So, a function is a relationship that for any input, you only have one output. So here's the definition of function, and the symbol for it is F. Pretty ingenious way mathematicians come up with names. Function F, function. Okay? From a set A, we're going to name that set in just a second, to another set B. Say set A would be all those chips and drinks and goodies that they had on the shelf. You got one of those. To a set B, that's how much they charge you coming out. A function is a relation that assigns to each element in the first set, X, they call it, in the first set, exactly one element, Y, in the second set. So if you get that same bag of chips, they better charge you the same amount. Okay? Otherwise, we're not very happy. Okay? The set A is called the domain. There we have that already. That's the input set. Things you have to choose from. The output is called, the set B is called the range, the set of outputs. Okay? Now, I can remember the first time I heard the term function. It was my freshman year of college, first quarter, my Calculus 1 class. Georgia Tech did not have pre-calculus algebra or trig. They went right into calculus. Boo hiss. I didn't have any of that in high school. And the professor said this. He said, think of it as a black box. Okay? I'll try to get this done quickly if I can get this thing to come up. Okay, there we go. A black box. Okay? Okay. And this black box has a handle, a crank on it. Okay? And what you put in the black box, that's the input. That comes out of the domain. You turn the crank, and you get something else coming out the other end. That's the range, the set of things coming out. And when he said that, suddenly it made sense, because I flashed back to when I was a kid growing up on the farm, And we raised chickens and pigs and cows and grew our vegetables and all that kind of stuff. But by every winter, the coldest part of the winter is when we had the hog killing, okay? And that's when we kill a hog. And my dad and my uncle or anyone else who was there to help, I was too small to do very much at the time, but they would do all the stuff on the outside and bring the meat in. My dad would chop it up into the pork chops and the pork roast and stuff, but there'd always be little pieces of meat that didn't really fit somewhere, and he put those onto a pile. And that pile just grew as he cut up the other meat, wrapped it up, and we put it in the freezer, did all that, and that pile just kept growing. A little bit of gristle, but mostly a little bit of red meat and stuff. And then at the end, they set up the sausage grinder, and it looked just like this. Okay? And that was my job, to grind the sausage. I could do that. Okay? And what they would do, they put those little scraps of meat in here. They put the spices, they put the sage, they put the hot peppers, they put whatever they wanted to do in the sausage to make it taste good. Those were the inputs. The output was sausage. Okay? Input was scraps of meat, spices, flavoring. The output was sausage. I was a function grinder. Okay? And from then on, I thought, oh, that's what a function is. A function takes something, the input, the domain, and feeds something else out. We'll talk about that mathematically coming up. So, good deal. We didn't get very much covered today, but at least we got started. We'll go from here. No homework assignment except think about those papers. Think about, go back and review the first 3 sections, see if there's anything you need to review on. Have a great weekend. Oh, wait. I forgot one thing, important thing. Good news, bad news. The bad news is there's no class on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's a holiday. But the good news is it doesn't influence us. We're going to still meet on Tuesday. Okay. So we don't lose a class.
Right? You said you're not going to be a Tuesday.
Huh? Oh, that's right. You're right. We are going to. Yeah, I forgot that one. I was so into my good news, bad news. Okay. Good deal. Okay. I record all my classes, and they're out there on YouTube, so you'll be able to pick up everything you may have missed.
I just want to mention up like today. Usually I won't be this late. I get
Right.
up at 7 o'clock. I'm coming from Birmingham, but
Right.
I had a little accident at work.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Thanks for telling me.
I didn't want you to think I was just coming late.
Right. No, I knew. I could tell you were one of those. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I have a question about paper. Do
Right.
you want it like in paragraph form, or like you just want it like all
Goodness.
like?
When you do an English class, do they want it in paragraph form?
Yeah.
Yeah! I'm going to do the same thing they do. Okay, good question, though. I've had so many turned in that just ramble. Yeah. Yeah. Good question.